Good evening. I'm Louis Armstrong, the author of the book Judgment of America and Black Nostradamus Prophecy of America's Future. I'm also a public speaker. Now, I'd like to talk about a subject, a chapter that's in the book Judgment of America, to deal with the cross philosophy. The cross philosophy I've been talking about, even I look again today, I always look at stuff more and more after I write. This book came out in 2006. There's an idea that the cross philosophy is a burden sometime, or some type of sorrow, or something that you go through in life. And the church have ran with that ideology for a very long time, although it's not absolute, it's a relative teaching from the church point of view. I want to get into the absolute teaching of what the cross philosophy is all about. Now, someone may say, well, he's coming against what the church say. That ain't my problem. I come to teach truth because truthism is an ongoing process. Truism is something, and that's why I wrote this down. This is not about Black Lives Matter and because all lives matter. This is trying to show you a difference between truism and truthism. Truthism is continuation. It have longevity. Something true is just a statement. It's part of truthism, but it's just a statement. And that's all it is. So I wanted to bring that out because we need to understand that there's many statements been written, talked about, trying to explain what the scripture's saying, but it have been a contradiction to the truism. The real meaning of it, what it really means. Now, in the chapter 2 of Judgment of America, it talks about the philosophy of Jesus. Many people don't talk about the philosophy of Jesus. Now, you got some scholars today say, well, Jesus didn't exist. You got some said that Titus and Vespasian, his father, created this character so that they could give a passive Messiah to the people. Now, I'm going to be not a skeptic to this, that, or that because I have did my homework. There's some truth in everything, and we have to understand that. But what I want to do, I don't want to discredit Jesus. I want to show you a truthism under the character of Jesus. And when you begin to see that truthism, you'll find out that truthism have existed from the beginning of time. And this is very important. Now, what is that truthism about? And we're in the age of Pisces, so we have to understand what age we're in and why is a great deception. We're in the age of Pisces, and at the time of Jesus Christ, at the time that they recorded, the Greek recorded the Messiah, Jesus, to Christ, it was the age of Pisces. So it is age from Pisces all the way into now, a deceptive age. So in order to find truth, you have to do your homework. And you have to be chosen by God to understand these revelations. And that's why I talked about Hebrew typology. Hebrew typology is simply a teaching, a genre that have not been used over 1,700 years. And a lot of reason they did not use it because in order for them to have control over the people, they had to have the control of the cross. They needed that control because the cross is simply the person. Every individual is his own cross. He carried his own cross. He carried his own self. But they wanted you to think something different, and that's why we have the Christian cross, always with a man on this cross, hanging, going through agony. And they're giving you that ideology that it has something to do with agony and all this problematic events. But carrying your cross have nothing to do with agony and etc. It has something to do to your day-to-day life. Now, why would I say that? Man, know thyself, take up thy cross daily, is the same thing. Now, individual will say, well, I never heard it that way. No, because you never deal with truthisms. You have to know that if you find this truth, this truth is something unique. Truth is not, it's a reality. You have what you call your relative and you have your absolute. An absolute truth is simply something true yesterday, today, and forevermore. A relative truth is something that is true only at the time when it is accepted as truth. And the church have accepted the relative truth to the understanding of the cross philosophy. So when you begin to go and know what the cross philosophy is, and you go back into time, you'll find out that the cross philosophy was said in the words that God had a conversation with Adam. You can find that. And it's shown in this book. You can find it. You can find the cross philosophy, in the time of Noah, when he talked to Noah. You could find the cross philosophy in the conversation of Abraham. It's many places you can find the cross philosophy. You can find it in the New Testament. Many places other than what Jesus said. So the cross philosophy is something that's known to the initiates or the adults who understand these scriptures. And if you begin to do your homework, you'll find out that the Bible was not given to everybody. It was not given to everybody to know. One time, nobody taught the Bible to the people but the priests. The reason why? Because the Bible is a coded writing. When you literally take the Bible and you take it as you do a textbook and read the Bible, you're going to do nothing but lose yourself, because there are certain things go along with certain phrases, a certain truthism that's not even in the Bible. You have to go outside them to apply them to what they're saying to have a full understanding of it. Now, I'm going to move on, because what I want to do, I want to show you that you're in the age, the ending of the age of Pisces, the age of deception. You're going into a new age called the age of Aquarius. Most people don't understand and haven't seen how the precession of the equinox work. But precession of the equinox is in the teaching of Christianity. But most people say, I ain't never seen that. Don't say precession of the equinox. It tells you to count the stars. And if you know anything about the mythology or the knowledge around counting the stars, you'll know that the precession of the equinox is included in the counting of the stars. It is not about looking in the sky and seeing some stars and saying, I count them Abraham seed, da. It don't work like that. That is all wrong. And this is what's been happening to the church. They've been deceived on what they need to understand. Now, this deception did not happen because, they attempted. This deception happened thousands of years ago. And they was only a product of what had done occurred. So when you go to a theologian or a certain school and they tell you, carrying your cross is something that you got to deal with. Everybody got to deal with. It's a situation that you're going to go through good times, you're going to go through bad times, and in bad times, you got to carry it. But it's not about that. It's about being able to know thyself. This is the reason I put it here. Man, know thyself. The ancient Egypt knew what carrying the cross was. The ankh that they had in their hand. When you look at this and you look at this ankh is a cross. This cross was before them. When some people study about Constantine and they say, Constantine put the cross on the shield, etc. This is what he put on there. He didn't put this. He put this on there because this was readily known at that time. This was the cross. And most people think it's this because you look at TV and you see the movies and the crusades, you see this on the shield. But most people don't understand that this was on the shield. Now, I want to go further because Leonardo da Vinci understood what the cross was. And that's why you see in the Vitruvian Man, you see the cross. The Jews, their signature, show this. This is what actually is a Jew-Egyptian cross. The Egyptians used this before the Jews, but we today, we give it props to the Jews as being the one that have this cross. Now, the reason I want to bring this to your attention is because I want to stand up and show you something. And this is very important. When I stand up This is the only thing I carry daily. The only thing I carry daily. When the Egyptian carried the ankh in their hand, it represented this. And when you begin to see this, you begin to understand that this is your cross. Jesus said, if any man follow after me, let him first deny himself, take up his cross daily and follow me. Now, how do I follow Jesus with my cross? When you look up to God, that is morals. That's one principle. When you look down at your feet deal with economics. When you begin to see everything economically come from the earth. Your car come from the earth, your clothing come from the earth, your women's shoes come from the earth, your oxygen come from the earth. It come from the plants and go into the air. Everything you can name come from the earth. Also, when you put your ring on your left hand, that deal with social. Your spouse, your fraternities, etc., etc. That's your social. That's your other part of the cross. You got your head, moral. You got your feet, economics. You got your left hand, social. And you got your right hand, political. Oh, what did he say? Political? I hold my right hand in the court of law. Why do I hold my right hand in the court of law? They never tell you. Do they know this? Yes, they do. Because it's political. Now, when I say yes, they do, I don't mean some of the judges, some of the lawyers. They just tell you it's a tradition. It's the thing to do, the right thing to do. You put your hand over your heart because your right hand show, and they have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And what's the flag about? It's a political symbol. And that's what it's about. You got your moral, your economic, your social, your political, and the way all four meet is in this area, diet and appetite. You can hear those echoing all through the Bible when you begin to see what the cross is all about. Now, why is that important today? Because who control the cross control the man. They are the functions of your life from the cradle to the grave. That's why it was said that truthism under Jesus is to carry thy cross daily. Now, you're supposed to carry it and follow Christ. It wasn't about following Jesus. This truthism was about following Christ. And this mystery and this knowledge was known way back during the time of Egypt. That Christ consciousness, that divine consciousness, that knowledge that comes from what we call the intuitive mind, that pineal gland. That's why you see the poke on his staff. He have the pine cone in the area where you see the cross at, because the pine cone is telling you, giving you an idea of what the cross really all about. Now, most people, they would never put that together. They say, well, what that pine cone doing with the cross? The pine cone dealing with the cross because it is at the top of the staff showing you the truth about what the cross philosophy is really about. But the Pope is not, they're not going to break this down and tell you that, because you got a power controlling you. If they keep you oblivious or keep you out of the loop of what's going on, that's more control. The government never told you why you hold your right hand up in the court of law. Society never tell you why you put your ring on your left hand. They don't tell you that. You hear them say, oh, have a strong economic base. You know, you need a strong economic base. And what people don't realize, if you're going to follow the philosophy, the truthism, whether you believe in Jesus or don't believe in Jesus. Now, is the Christians only one follow the cross? No, this is something for all humanity to participate in. Because the cross is simply, man, know thyself. And when you begin to see that, you begin to see that, look, I have a responsibility. And what is my responsibility? I have a responsibility to keep my social life in check. And what is that? My family is part of my social life. My spouse is part of my social life. My organization that I participate is part of my social life. I have a responsibility to build economic ventures and make my economics strong and sound. And that's a main part of my life. I have a responsibility to participate and help control my destiny, my political destiny. When someone tell you to separate church and state, there's a problem, because you cannot carry your cross correctly as an individual if you're not going to participate in the political process. So people who saying, well, I'm going to heaven, God, Jesus coming to get me up, and I ain't worried about that. But first you got to do what Jesus wants you to do. He told you to carry your cross. So you sitting back and talking about, well, I don't care, I'm not going to pick this one or that one. You need to learn about the process first. Learn whether or not they doing the right thing. Because you in the age, what they call the age of the great deception. You need to learn, is your political body doing the right thing? You need to go back and start from the Constitution. Find out whether or not do you have more than one Constitution, or none that you don't know much about. See, those are the things you got to know. You got to find out whether or not you paying a 70-year debt, and every time that 70-year debt come into existence, something tragic happened in your nation. Why is that? When it's time for them to pay the debt off, something happens. What happened? 9/11. Go back from 9/11. You go back from the 9/11. You go back to what? The 1929, when they had the Great Depression. You go back from that. Boom. You hit another situation. You go back, and from that you're going to hit the Civil War. You go back from that, you're going to hit the time when they made, after the American Revolution came, and they made agreement to finally settle the note. People have not even seen this information and seen the reason why carrying your cross and the cross philosophy is important. And it's very important. Now, we have 3 problems in this nation. And what are those? I heard Clive Anderson say one time, and I like this guy, and many others, not just him, there's many others that's out there trying to teach truth. Now, they don't get into the biblical aspects of it like I get into it, because God has blessed me with understanding this. They get into the practical part of it. And it's correct when they say you got, he used the term 2 problems. Those 2 problems is distribution of wealth and the behavior. And that's true. I add the 3rd one there because of the time we are in. Great deception. We have a problem with great deception because of the age of deception, Pisces. We are finna leave this age and go into the age of Aquarius, which is known in the precession of the equinox as the Bronze Age. Many people don't have no clue of this, and it's very important. And I want to show you a little simple part of that. I'm going to add this into here so you have a general idea, because you talk about the precession of the equinox, people don't know what it means. We are probably the sun, the earth is somewhere in there, and I would say Ceres is somewhere there. You have the dark age, you have the bronze age, you have the silver age, you have the gold age. And it's the same way going this way. And this age is the age that we're leaving out of. Our Bible mostly cover, when they talk about the people in it, from Noah building the ark, Noah time, which man came out of this age. And these age, you got a different time that you live. Here, man can live. The age we're going in, man gonna be able to live 1,000 years. Now, you think those people don't know you're gonna start living longer, and you wanna know what they wanna do with Social Security, why they wanna, they talking about getting rid of some people off the planet. You think they wanna pay people from 65 to when they get old and they're gonna live longer, and then they age gonna do like what the man named Mr. Button age, come all the way back down to 30 and 40, where they look young, they 100-something years old, 200-something years old, and looking like they 35 or 40. People don't realize this has happened. In Noah time, when Noah was in existence, how could the old man and his son build an ark and he that old? Because Noah was 600-something years old. People think, oh, that couldn't have been right. Yes, he was 600-something years old. He came out of this age here. He came out of this age into this age. The age, what we call the age of Taurus. And you had the age of Taurus, put a T there, you had the age of Aries, and you had the age of Pisces, this age here. So you put that Pisces there. And people think that, don't understand that when you talk about the 12 disciples, you're actually talking about this. But they won't tell you. The 12 disciples, and you got the Son in the middle. And people don't know that, and the church ain't teaching this because the church is not aware of it. Now, the old church know it, and you can see it in some of the old architects. That's why when you see Jesus, you see a man with the Son behind him. That's what you see. Now, I don't want to get into that part of it because I want to deal with the cross philosophy. But there's a lot of truthism that's there that's not being taught in the Bible, but they exist. And it's time. The only way you're going to know what the fullness of the gospel is all about, you got to know the truthisms. Without the truthism, you have no idea. The Greeks did something that is mind-blowing, but the church don't realize it. You had people like Vespasian, who the Greeks made, the Romans made a god, and Titus was the son of God. Even peoples like Josephus, who was an Egyptian historian, but he was also Egyptian, a Jewish prophet, and he was part of the rebellion. And then when he got captured, he changed over, turncoat, and went over toward Vespasian and told Vespasian that Vespasian and Titus, his family, his dynasty, was the Christ. But people in the church don't teach you this. They don't teach you that the Greeks are responsible for writing the New Testament. So you want to know the truth in the New Testament, you got to look for the truthisms. Truthism. Because once you write, it's like this, I'll use a good example. If I want to create a character as a Christ, what I would do, I would get the truthisms. I would take the Old Testament, I take the things that it talk about with the Old Testament, and I'll form them in the New Testament. And I'll form at a time around this person and create the character that fit with the Old Testament. A lot of this happened in the time of the Grecian, in the time of the Roman Empire. And what Vespasian did, he backdated the gospel in the time of his enemies, the Caesars before him. So when historians go and look for any proof of the gospel and certain proof of it, they can't find it. It happened during Vespasian Titus time. And if you look at the history of Josephus, you can find out that Josephus and the early writings of Josephus, or the writings of Josephus, used to be compiled in the Bible. They had to take them out because people were getting too smart. Wait a minute. Josephus had 3 friends, and he asked Titus to take one off the cross. Take them 3 friends off the cross, and one lived and the other one died. Darn, that sounds familiar. We saw him in the gospel. Then you hear something about Josephus write about a woman who gave her son for a sacrifice for the world because Titus them had surrounded the city and starvation was with the Jewish people. So she made her son be a sacrifice for the world, and he was eaten by the Jewish people. Wait a minute. I kind of hear that theme in the teaching of the Last Supper by Jesus being a sacrificial offering. Eat this bread and drink this drink, for this is my blood, etc. So when we begin to see this, we got to look for truthisms. Where did this stuff come from? Why Pisces, the age of Pisces, give us a great deception? Why do you think that in the age of Pisces, the church is not deceiving the masses of the people? So we got to be able to understand this stuff. And when you see young people rising up today cannot accept the status quo that they had, they tired of being deceived. If you say that Jesus and God is American God, and that we supposed to be a peoples of harmony, and you have the churches divided, you have white churches and black churches, and you don't have one church, there's a problem. It's a great deception there. So we have to get this right. And this is what's going on. This is why we have to learn to carry our cross. We got to learn to be morally responsible. We have to learn how to have strong economic base. And when we got a society, a political body that pushing a maldistribution of wealth, we need to change that. If the banks is not lending to all the peoples in the community to get there, all the different races in the community, well, we got a political responsibility to straighten that out. If we got a society where you got crime in a community, we need to find out why is that crime in that community. We need to find out and don't excuse ourselves because we the ones supposed to be the Christian. We need to become the new Christianity. That's what we need, a new Christianity. Take the lies out, take the deception out, and become and have a new Christianity. That way we could live and be the Christ consciousness that we're supposed to be. And when we begin to live that life and have that Christ consciousness, we have more of God. And it'll be more of the godly atmosphere in our nation and in our life. We could go down the road and we don't have to worry about somebody shooting at us, or we could go down the road, or we could go in our home and we don't have to worry about no drive-by shooting. We could go in our home and we ain't got to worry about nobody taking our goods and services. Not good, you know. And so we got to look at it. We want a better world. We got to have a better government. And if we want a better government, we got to have a balance in our economics. We can't have 1% of the people owning 90% of the wealth. If we got that, we got to get rid of some people out of there because they are putting it in an unbalanced position. Your cross should have a balance to it. And when you begin to see it, most people look at everything as going up and down. You need to put it like that. The cross got to have a balance. Your morals got to be equivalent to your economics. Your economic got to be equivalent to your social. Your social got to be equivalent to your morals. And the one thing I forgot, and I only got 3 minutes, the other part of the cross is your diet and your appetite. Now, why that important? Because America's got to learn how to eat. America got to learn how to bring certain things into their life. Now, we got young people say, well, I like to wear my baggy pants. Is it appropriate in the social environment? Now, you want to wear your afro? You wear your afro. You want to wear this and that? You want to wear your tattoo? You can, but some people don't want to hire you when you got a tattoo certainly all over your body. So your diet is very important because we have obesity. Now, most preachers don't talk about diet. They really don't talk about this. They stay away from the political. They don't talk about how you need to eat and what things you need to bring into your life. They'll deal with social and this, moral and economics. They'll deal with that. There's an imbalance in that. That's an imbalance. You're not talking about the truthism that God wants you to tell the people about. You got to deal with the complete package because this package is how man is controlled from the cradle to the grave. There is not 1 second of our life that we're not operating under one of these places. When I go to the grocery store, I go to work, I'm dealing with economics. When I go to church, I'm dealing with social. When I go visit friends or family, I'm dealing with social. When I look up to God and do the right things, I'm dealing with moral. When I go and deal with a political issue, or not only voting, when I go and get the license for a company, et cetera, I'm dealing with this here and many other things. So we have to remember that. And as we begin to carry our cross, we begin to be the people that God intended us to be. And this is why it's very important to be and do the right thing. May God bless you and have a great day. Amen.